Willow Creek was a sleepy town. It was the kind of place where everyone knew your name, and everyone knew about the old house at the end of Elm Street. It stood on a hill overlooking the creek. The house was grand once, a Victorian beauty with a wide porch and a widow's walk. Now it was a shadow of its former self, its paint peeling, its windows boarded up. Locals whispered stories about the house. They said it was haunted. They said a family had met a tragic end there. No one dared to go near it. Sarah was different. She wasn't from Willow Creek. She was a city girl, drawn to the quiet charm of the town. When she saw the old house on the hill, she didn't see a spooky ruin. She saw potential. She saw beauty waiting to be restored.
I've always dreamed of fixing up an old house, of bringing it back to life. This house, with its sad stories and forgotten grandeur, calls to me. I'm going to buy it.
Sarah rolled up her sleeves. She wasn't afraid of hard work. She started with the garden, clearing away years of overgrowth. Then she moved inside, tearing down wallpaper, sanding floors, and painting walls. As she worked, she felt a presence in the house. Sometimes she heard whispers, soft and indistinct. Doors creaked open on their own. Once she felt a cold spot in the air, a sudden chill that made her shiver.
It's just the old house settling. I refuse to be scared.
One hot afternoon, Sarah decided to tackle the attic. It was a dark, dusty space filled with cobwebs and forgotten treasures. As she was moving an old trunk, she stumbled upon a loose floorboard. Curious, she pried it open. Underneath, she found a small wooden chest. She lifted the chest, her heart pounding with anticipation. Inside, nestled in faded velvet, were photographs and letters, yellowed with age.
What secrets do you hold? Let's find out.
Section 5. Emily's Story. This is a tale that has been whispered through generations. A story that has left an indelible mark on the old Victorian house that stands at the edge of town. The house, with its creaking floors and shadowy corners, holds secrets that have been buried for decades. The letters told the story of the family who had lived in the house. Each letter, yellowed with age, was a window into the past, revealing the lives of the people who once called this place home. They spoke of love, joy, and sorrow, painting a vivid picture of a family bound by both affection and tragedy. The father, a stern-looking man named Edward, was a doctor. He was a man of science, dedicated to his work, often seen with a furrowed brow and a stethoscope around his neck. His patients respected him, but his family saw a different side, a man burdened by the weight of his responsibilities. The mother, Clara, was a gentle beauty with sad eyes. She was the heart of the family, always there with a comforting word or a warm embrace. Her letters were filled with her hopes and dreams for her daughter, Emily, and her deep love for her husband, despite the growing distance between them. And then there was Emily, their daughter. Emily was the light of their lives, a bright and curious child who brought joy to everyone she met. Her laughter echoed through the halls of the house, a sound that Clara cherished above all else. Emily, a bright-eyed little girl with a mischievous smile. She had a spirit that was impossible to contain, always exploring, always asking questions. Her presence was a beacon of light in the otherwise somber household. The letters were filled with Clara's love for her daughter, her joy in watching her grow. She wrote about Emily's first steps, her first words, and the way her eyes lit up when she discovered something new. Each letter was a testament to the bond between mother and daughter, a bond that seemed unbreakable. But there were also hints of sadness, of a darkness that seemed to cling to the family. Clara's letters began to speak of strange occurrences, of shadows that moved on their own, and of a coldness that seemed to seep into the very walls of the house. It was as if the house itself was alive, feeding off the family's sorrow. Then, Sarah found a letter that made her breath catch in her throat. This letter was different from the others, its tone more urgent, more desperate. It spoke of a night when everything changed, a night that Clara could never forget. It was dated a year after the last letter. The date was a stark reminder of the passage of time, of the years that had slipped away unnoticed. This letter held a secret that had been hidden for too long, a secret that would change everything. It told of Emily's death, a tragic accident in the attic. Clara's words were filled with grief, describing the day she found her daughter lifeless, her small body crumpled at the bottom of the attic stairs. The accident had shattered the family, leaving them broken and haunted by the memory of their lost child. The house, once filled with Emily's laughter, now stood silent, a monument to a family's sorrow.
I sat in the attic, the letters scattered around me, and I wept. I wept for Emily, for her short life cut even shorter. I wept for Clara and Edward, their hearts broken by grief. And I wept for myself, for disturbing their peace. A wave of guilt washed over me. I realized that in my eagerness to restore the house, I had failed to consider the people who had lived and loved and lost within its walls. I had been so focused on the house's past that I had forgotten about its people.
That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing with thoughts and emotions. The room felt colder than usual, and the shadows seemed to dance on the walls, creating eerie shapes that only fueled her anxiety. She listened to the house creak and groan around her, each sound amplifying her sense of unease. The old wooden floors seemed to whisper secrets of the past, and the wind howled through the cracks in the windows as if trying to communicate with her. She couldn't shake the feeling that Emily's spirit, the young girl who once lived here, was still present. Sarah had read about Emily's tragic story, and now it felt as if the little girl was reaching out to her from beyond the grave, and perhaps even her parents' spirits were lingering too, bound to the house by unresolved emotions and unfinished business. The weight of their presence was almost tangible, pressing down on Sarah's chest. It was as if they were still trapped in the house, unable to find peace, their restless souls wandering the halls, searching for a way to move on. The air felt thick with their sorrow and longing.
I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just ignore the signs any longer. The whispers, the cold spots, the feeling of being watched, they were all too real to dismiss as mere figments of my imagination. I thought about the whispers I had heard, the cold spots that sent shivers down my spine, and the feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes were following my every move. The feeling of being watched was the most unsettling of all. It was as if the spirits were trying to communicate with me, to make me understand their plight. I realized that these weren't meant to scare me. They were desperate attempts to reach out, to make a connection. The spirits were trying to tell me something important, something that could help them find peace. They were cries for help, echoes of their pain and suffering. The paranormal activity was their way of reaching out, hoping that someone would finally listen and understand. It was a way for the family to reach out, to share their story, to find someone who could help them move on. The old photographs I found in the attic, the letters and diaries, they all painted a picture of a family in distress, longing for closure. I decided to hold a ceremony, a spiritual ritual to acknowledge their pain and to honor their memory. I gathered candles, incense, and other items that I believed would help create a sacred space. It was a way to acknowledge their pain, to honor their memory, and to let them know that they were not forgotten. I wanted to create a bridge between the living and the dead, a way to help them find the peace they so desperately needed, and to help them find peace. As I performed the ritual, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. The air seemed to lighten and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. I knew that I had done the right thing, and I hoped that the spirits could finally rest in peace.
The next day, Sarah went into town and bought candles and flowers. She wandered through the bustling market, the vibrant colors and lively chatter surrounding her. Each step she took was filled with purpose, her mind focused on the ceremony she was about to perform. The candles she chose were pure white, symbolizing peace and clarity, while the flowers were a mix of lilies and roses, representing love and remembrance. She returned to the house and went up to the attic. The old wooden stairs creaked under her weight, each step echoing in the silent house. The attic was a place of memories, filled with old trunks and forgotten treasures. Dust motes danced in the beams of sunlight that filtered through the small window, giving the space an ethereal quality. She carefully arranged the candles on the floor, creating a circle of light in the dusty space. Each candle was placed with intention, forming a sacred space where she could connect with the past. The circle was a symbol of unity and eternity, a reminder that love and memories are never truly lost. She placed the flowers in the center of the circle, their sweet fragrance filling the air. The flowers added a touch of beauty and life to the somber setting, their vibrant colors standing out against the dim surroundings. As she arranged them, she thought about the people they represented, each petal a tribute to a cherished memory. Then she lit the candles and sat down in the circle. The flickering flames cast a warm glow, creating a serene and contemplative atmosphere. The light from the candles seemed to chase away the shadows, bringing a sense of peace and clarity to the room. She closed her eyes and thought about Emily, about her parents, about their love and their loss. Memories flooded her mind, each one a bittersweet reminder of the past. She felt a deep connection to them, as if they were there with her in the circle, sharing in the moment of reflection and remembrance.
I found your letters. I know your story. Each letter was a window into your soul, revealing your hopes, dreams, and fears. The words you wrote were filled with emotion, capturing the essence of your experiences and the depth of your feelings. I'm so sorry for your pain. I understand your sadness. Reading your letters, I felt your heartache and your longing for peace. Your words resonated with me, and I could feel the weight of your sorrow as if it were my own. It's time for you to let go, to find peace. Holding on to the past has kept you trapped in a cycle of grief and regret. It's time to release those feelings and embrace the present. Let the light of the candles guide you to a place of healing and tranquility. You deserve to find happiness and to move forward with a heart full of love and hope.
As Sarah spoke, she felt a shift in the air, a lightening of the atmosphere. The room felt warmer, more welcoming. When she finished speaking, a profound silence fell over the house. It was a comforting silence, a peaceful silence. Sarah opened her eyes and looked around the attic. The dust motes that had danced in the air before were gone. The shadows seemed less menacing, the light softer. She took a deep breath and smiled.
Emily and her parents are finally at peace.
Sarah continued to restore the house, but now she worked with a newfound respect for its past. She kept Emily's photographs displayed on the mantelpiece, a reminder of the little girl who had once called this house her home. The whispers never returned, the cold spots disappeared, and the feeling of being watched faded away. But Sarah never felt alone in the house.
I feel a comforting presence, a sense of peace and serenity. Emily and her parents are now guardians of the house, watching over me, protecting me.
Sarah had come to Willow Creek to restore an old house, but she had found something much more. She had found a connection to the past, a story of love and loss and redemption. She had found a home, not just for herself, but for the spirits who had long walked its halls, and in doing so, she had found a part of herself that she never knew existed. A capacity for empathy, a desire to heal, a need to connect with something bigger than herself.